What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Bourbon of the Week. My name's Chris. I'm going to be your host for today, and thanks to one of my Patreons, Jake McKee, I have 3 samples of the Redwood Empire Cask Strength versions of the Emerald Giant, the Pipe Dream, and the Lost Monarch. Now, if you watched my video last week, I just reviewed the Pipe Dream, which is a bourbon, which is why we can put it on the ranking sheet. We also have the Emerald Giant, which is a rye, and then we have the Lost Monarch, which is a blend of whiskeys. Now, Lost Monarch is usually the fan favorite when it comes to the original versions of these, but these are the Cask Strengths. Let's see if it falls the same way. I know the Pipe Dream did really well in our ranking sheet, so I'm excited to see how that one falls today. But everybody knows before we get started, time for the traditional sip. Cheers, y'all. Emerald Giant. So here's the deal. I know I have my Great Whiskey Challenge tasting kit out, but I am not doing this blind. By the way, check them out. Link in the description below. 10% off for all of these kits if you use BOTW10 at checkout. But the reason I have these tags and these glasses is just because I mix these glasses up all the times when I'm doing these blinds. And then in my mind, I'm like, wait, was that the right glass? I should be able to tell the difference here, but we have it from right to left, or from your left to right. We have the Emerald Giant, the Pipe Dream, and then the Lost Monarch. I also have some notes that Jake printed out for me. Just because I don't have the bottles here, you can find this online. This isn't anything special. And then the only thing I have written down over here is $70 because all 3 of these bottles MSRP at $70 if you can get your hands on them for that price. But let's get started with C over here, which is going to be our Lost Monarch, and let's go over the mash bill real quick. This is a blend of straight whiskeys, so we have a 94% rye, 5% malted barley, 1% wheat rye whiskey, as well as a bourbon, which is 74% corn, 20% raw rye, 4.5% malted barley, and 1.5% wheat. And you might be thinking to yourself, Chris, do these have wheat in them? Did the original product have wheat in it? And the answer is no, it didn't, which is a weird concept for me. The fact that the traditional offering, the non-cask strength version, is a different mash bill than what they're offering for the cask strength version. How does that work? I'm not too sure, and maybe somebody else in the whiskey world that's been here a little bit longer than I have can tell you a little bit more about that, and maybe they'll comment that below. I would love that because I love to learn things as I go as well. But every traditional bourbon I've seen in a cask strength version is usually the exact same mash bill. But enough about that. We'll go over the other 2 mash bills when we get to those. This is 3 to 12 years old when it comes to the Lost Monarch, and Lost Monarch is usually the fan favorite amongst these 3, at least when it comes to the traditional versions. We're going to see how it fares today against these other 2 cask strength versions. I have the Lost Monarch and I just did the Pipe Dream, and I should have drank them side by side. I've never had the Emerald Giant, but I think the Pipe Dream was my favorite compared to those 2. I can get the bottle back because I just borrowed it from my brother-in-law, but when I think about it, and I did review the Pipe Dream, I didn't get to review this one just because it's not technically a bourbon, and maybe soon we'll put other whiskeys on our ranking sheet, but the Pipe Dream was really, really good, so I'm excited to see what the cask strength version can do for me as well. But getting back to this Lost Monarch, this does come in at 117.2 proof, and it does not drink anywhere near that. Now, you might be thinking that's a little bit low when you're comparing like barrel strengths. You've got Elijah Craig barrel strength or Larceny barrel strength or any of the Stag Juniors or anything like that. But if you think about it, Wild Turkey comes out with their rare breed, which is what, like 116.2 or 116.8, I forget. But this is more towards that lower level of the cask strength version of things. And it's not all of their distillate, right? They're using source distillate for this as well. And the big thing is they do barrel this and age it in their own warehouses in California. If you know anything about California, it's usually pretty hot, which means they're going to lose a lot of that distillate to the angel share. So when they water it down, they can get more product out of it. But when they don't, for the cask strength version, they're not getting as much whiskey. So they do have to make the prices a little bit higher as well as make the proofs just a little bit lower. But I will say, right on this, they're supposed to tell you warm spices, dried apricots, and white pepper finish. Now, I don't know about a white pepper finish, but I definitely get a little bit of pear on this. I've never had an apricot to this day. I keep talking about apricots too. I've had a few whiskeys lately that have given me some apricot, quote unquote, pear stuff, and this seems like it's going to be one of them. So maybe I should go out and actually try an apricot. By the way, threw my back out earlier today. I'm hoping this whiskey helps because it is not feeling good. And when you have to carry around a 20-pound baby all day for nap times and bedtimes, it does not help. Listen, that 95.5 rye, or should I say 94.4 1% wheat, really shines on this one just a little bit. You get a lot more of that rye spice, which is, I guess, what they're lending towards that white pepper, but you do get a little bit of sweetness on this as well. I kind of think it's a little one-dimensional compared to what I'm getting off of the Pipe Dream, the original version, so we're going to see how it does against the cask strength version right now. Cheers, y'all. Listen, somebody out there one day said that Lost Monarch was better than the other two offerings when it came to the original versions. I have not seen a review yet on the cask strength versions of all three of these, but I'm here to tell you, Pipe Dream is in front, both in the original version and in the cask strength version for me. This is literally Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Both 116.8 proof, both delicious. I get a lot of that toffee notes that I usually get on that Wild Turkey line, especially like the Russell's Reserve line. And then I also get a lot of spice on the end of this, which really balances it out so well. Sweetness, you're getting the vanillas, the caramels. And then again, this is 4 to 12 years old, so it's a little bit younger, but you do have some older product in there, which is going to give you the slightest hint of oak, a little bit of leather, maybe a hint of tobacco, but that's it. And I love it. This right here, Pipe Dream, is 2 for 2 so far in their cask strength and their original version. I gotta have another sip. Listen, if this bottle was sitting on my shelf at $70, I would buy 2 of them, maybe even 3. And I'm not the type of guy to buy backups of bottles. I have enough bottles on my shelf that I need to review, and I have enough bottles that I need to continue to buy so I can keep the channel moving forward, to know that I don't have $70 sitting around for backups of bottles. But this one right here would be one that I would buy a couple of just so I don't run out of it. And I don't think we've talked about the mash bill on this one yet, but this is coming in at 74% corn, 20% raw rye, 4.5% malted barley, and 1.5% wheat. And I don't know, again, is that 1.5% wheat really making a huge difference? Probably not, but it just bothers me in my head that it's not the exact same thing as the original versus the cask strength, but who am I? But here we go, last but certainly not least, we're going to get into Emerald Giant here. Now, Emerald Giant is the one that I have not had before. This will be my first time trying it, both in the original and the cask strength version. Let's go over the mash bill real quick. Very easy for you. 94% rye, 5% malted barley, 1% wheat. Again, just adding 1% wheat for maybe they ran out of rye. Maybe they just completely ran out of rye, so they said, all right, we'll just throw 1% wheat in there. But that's what we're getting here. This is a blend of 4 to 6 year old rye. So this is a little bit lower for the age statement than it is on these. These are 3 to 12 and 4 to 12, and this one's only 3 to 6. So I have had a few 95.5 ryes in my day. I've never had a 94.5 but I will say the tasting notes that they give you, one in particular is on point, and it's Earl Grey tea. And the only reason I know that one is because last bottled in Bond Act Day, It's Bourbon Night put out an Earl Grey tea old fashioned, and I tried it for my TikTok. I was doing a lot of old fashioned videos on TikTok at that time, and you basically take a 1-to-1 simple syrup, put an Earl Grey tea bag in it, and that's the note that I'm getting on this. I really picked that up before I even read this, but I will say they also say chocolate and coffee beans. I don't get a lot of chocolate, maybe a hint of coffee, but it's definitely a darker 95.5 rye than I'm used to. But at the end of the day, compared to the Emerald Giant, compared to the Lost Monarch, I don't know if it's as good, and it's definitely not as good as the Pipe Dream. But again, for 116.4 proof, you really can't go wrong when it comes to drinkability on these. All three of these are fantastic when it comes to drinkability. We're going to finish these up. We're going to put them on our tasting podium in order that we think. I'm sure you guys already know, though. Back should be feeling loose after all these. Something floating in this one. Protein. But hey, if you've stuck around this long, make sure you click that like and that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 5,000 by the end of the year. And in third place, we have A, which is obviously Emerald Giant. This is still a fantastic pour, especially for a 95.5 rye. If you have the opportunity, I would pick this up at $70. I haven't had the original, so I can't tell you anything about that. But for right now, the cask strength version is still delicious. And that's going to bring us into second place, which is going to be C, which is our Lost Monarch. And listen, if this is your favorite, both in the cask strength and the original version, you're not wrong. There's nobody that's ever wrong in whiskey. Even if this one, the Emerald Giant, is your favorite, you're not wrong either. We just don't align when it comes to our flavor profiles, because Emerald Giant and Lost Monarch are still delicious pours. They're still fantastic. If you have the opportunity to try any of these at $70 for the cask strength versions, I would pick up all three. But for me, number one is going to be Pipe Dream, both in the original and in the cask strength version. Now listen, that's probably because I drink more bourbon than I do rye, and that'll change in the future, and that's okay. If you have a different order for these, let me know in the comment section below so we can talk about it. But listen, make sure you check me out on Instagram at Bourbon of the Week. Go click that follow button over there. If you want to help support the channel out financially, check us out on Patreon. We have a lot of cool gifts just for Patreons. If you want to come chat with us 24/7, we have a Discord channel in the link below as well. Please don't drink and drive. Always drink responsibly, and stay healthy, stay happy, stay drinking. Cheers, y'all. Pipe Dream. So good.